A young widow stands on a dusty road, staring at a future with no husband, no money, and no guarantee of food. Everyone expects her to walk away and save herself. But with one risky sentence, "Where you go, I will go," Ruth steps into a decision that will quietly shape the family line of Jesus himself. Today, we're not just retelling her story. We're stepping into her choices, her fear, her loyalty, and the hidden way God was writing redemption through a Moabite outsider. Because here's what makes Ruth's story so powerful. She had every reason to turn back, every logical reason to protect herself, every cultural expectation to return to what was familiar. But she didn't. And that one choice, made on a dusty road with no guarantee of what came next, set in motion a chain of events that would echo through generations. Ruth wasn't born into the right family, wasn't from the right country, wasn't even worshiping the right God when her story began. She was an outsider, a foreigner, a widow with nothing. But God was about to show that He writes the best stories with the most unlikely people. Before we see how Ruth's story unfolds, do me a favor, subscribe to this channel. Trust me, the stories only get better from here. The story begins with famine. In the days when the judges ruled, there was a famine in the land. This is Israel during one of its darkest periods. No king, no centralized leadership, just chaos and cycles of sin. And now, famine, the land producing nothing. A man named Elimelech makes a desperate decision. He takes his wife Naomi and their 2 sons and leaves Bethlehem, ironically the house of bread with no bread, and moves to Moab. Moab, enemy territory, a pagan nation, a place Israelites weren't supposed to go. But Elimelech is desperate. They settle in Moab. The sons grow up and marry Moabite women, Ruth and Orpah. But then tragedy strikes. Elimelech dies. Then both sons die. The text doesn't say how, just dead. Suddenly, Naomi is left with 2 foreign daughters-in-law and no husband, no sons, no security, no future. In that culture, women without men were vulnerable. No way to own property, no income, no protection. Widows often ended up begging. Naomi hears that the famine has ended in Israel. God has provided food again, so she decides to go back home to Bethlehem, and her daughters-in-law start walking with her. Picture 3 widows on a dusty road, walking toward an uncertain future. They walk for a while. Then Naomi stops. She looks at Ruth and Orpah, these young women who married her sons, who've shown her kindness for years, and her heart breaks. "Go back," Naomi says. "Each of you return to your mother's household. May the Lord show you kindness. May you find rest in the home of another husband." She kisses them. They start weeping. "We will go back with you to your people," they insist. But Naomi pushes harder. "Return home, my daughters. Why would you come with me? Am I going to have any more sons who could become your husbands? Even if I had a husband tonight and gave birth to sons, would you wait until they grew up? No, my daughters. The Lord's hand has turned against me." Naomi is convinced God is punishing her, that anyone who stays with her will share her suffering. They weep again. And then Orpah does the reasonable thing. She kisses Naomi goodbye, turns around, walks back toward Moab, back to her family, back to her gods, back to the possibility of a normal life. No one blames her. It's the smart choice, the safe choice. But Ruth doesn't move. Naomi sees this. "Look, your sister-in-law is going back to her people and her gods. Go back with her." And that's when Ruth speaks these words. "Don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord deal with me, be it ever so severely, if even death separates you and me." She's choosing poverty over comfort, uncertainty over security, an unknown future over a familiar past. She's leaving her country, her culture, her family, her gods, everything, to follow a bitter old woman into a foreign land where she'll be an outsider. Not because Naomi can offer her anything, but because loyalty matters more than logic. Naomi sees the determination in Ruth's eyes, and she stops arguing. The two of them walk together toward Bethlehem. When they arrive in Bethlehem, the whole town is stirred. "Can this be Naomi?" the women ask. She left with a husband and 2 sons. She's returning with nothing but a foreign daughter-in-law. Naomi's response is heartbreaking. "Don't call me Naomi. Call me Mara, because the Almighty has made my life very bitter. I went away full, but the Lord has brought me back empty. The Lord has afflicted me." She's broken, bitter, convinced God has abandoned her. But here's what Naomi doesn't see. She's not empty. Ruth is standing right beside her, and Ruth is about to become the instrument of God's redemption. The text adds one detail. They arrived in Bethlehem as the barley harvest was beginning. Harvest time, when the poor could survive, because God's law required landowners to leave the edges of their fields unharvested, so widows, orphans, and foreigners could glean. Ruth is all three, and she's about to step into the field that will change everything. Ruth says to Naomi, "Let me go to the fields and pick up the leftover grain behind anyone in whose eyes I find favor." It's humbling, but it's survival. Ruth goes out, and the text says, as it turned out, she was working in a field belonging to Boaz, who was from the clan of Elimelech. As it turned out, that's providence. God's invisible hand guiding Ruth to exactly the right field. Boaz is a relative of Elimelech, Naomi's dead husband. He's wealthy, respected, and he arrives just as Ruth is gleaning. He notices her immediately. "Who is that young woman?" "She is the Moabite who came back with Naomi," the foreman says. "She's been working steadily all day." Boaz approaches Ruth. "My daughter, don't go to another field. Stay here with my workers. I've told the men not to touch you. When you're thirsty, drink from our water jars." He's protecting her, providing for her, treating her with dignity. Ruth is stunned. "Why have I found such favor? A foreigner." Boaz answers, "Been told all about what you've done for your mother-in-law, how you left everything and came to a people you didn't know. May the Lord reward you. May you be richly rewarded by the God of Israel, under whose wings you've come to take refuge. Your loyalty has been noticed, and God is about to reward it." Naomi realizes Boaz is a kinsman redeemer, a relative who can marry Ruth and restore the family line. She coaches Ruth through a bold move, going to Boaz at night at the threshing floor and essentially proposing marriage. Ruth does it. Boaz is honored but explains there's a closer relative with first rights. He'll handle it properly. The next morning, Boaz goes to the town gate and confronts the closer relative in front of the elders. "Naomi is selling Elimelech's land. If you want to redeem it, do so. But know this, when you buy the land, you also acquire Ruth the Moabite." The relative backs out. "I cannot redeem it." So Boaz redeems it, publicly. "Today you are witnesses. I have acquired Ruth the Moabite as my wife, to maintain the name of the dead." The elders bless the union. Ruth, the Moabite widow with nothing, becomes the wife of Boaz. They have a son, Obed. The women say to Naomi, "Praise be to the Lord. He has not left you without a redeemer. Your daughter-in-law, who loves you and who is better to you than 7 sons, has given him birth." 7 sons, the perfect number. Ruth is worth more than perfection. And here's the kicker. Obed becomes the father of Jesse. Jesse becomes the father of David. And from David's line comes Jesus. The Moabite outsider becomes the great-grandmother of King David and part of the lineage of Christ. Here's what Ruth's story teaches us. Loyalty matters, even when it costs everything, even when it doesn't make sense, even when everyone else walks away. Ruth could have saved herself, could have gone back to Moab, could have found another husband and lived a comfortable life, but she chose loyalty, and that choice put her in the field where Boaz would see her, in the family line that would produce kings, in the story that would echo through eternity. God specializes in outsiders, foreigners, people with the wrong background, the wrong past, the wrong credentials. If you feel like you don't belong, Ruth's story is for you. If you feel like your past disqualifies you, Ruth's story is for you. If you feel like you're too late, too broken, too far from where you're supposed to be, Ruth's story is for you. Because God writes the best stories with the most unlikely people, and your loyalty to God, to family, to what's right even when it's hard, matters more than you know. Before you go, I want to ask you something. Is there a time in your life where being loyal was hard for you? Let me know in the comments. Because Ruth's story reminds us that loyalty often costs us something in the moment, but the reward can echo through generations.